I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to F1 Manager 22. This is episode number 4. We are ready to enter the Australian Grand Prix next, but before we jump into that, quick update on the facilities. We've had a couple more upgrades finish in that operations facility area. In fact, we're almost a third of the way through all of the upgrades that we have. However, here's the thing about these operations facility upgrades. The boardroom nearly done. That's going to be level 3 of that one. Hospitality, working on level 2. Weather center, we haven't touched that one yet, but we will absolutely get into that because at some point rain is going to be a factor. In fact, sooner rather than later, I would think. You'll see. I think I just gave it away. Anyway, helipad went from nothing to level 5 already in just 12 days from now. And that's one that we've done, I think, 2 levels on. I haven't touched memorabilia room as it's a bit more expensive, but we will absolutely work on that one soon. And the tour center final upgrade also just 2 days away on that one. The combination here is mostly about finances and attractiveness, which is going to be about finances. Even if it's not until next year that we sign new sponsorship deals, I have no idea when that process is going to occur. It could be a preseason type thing, or it could be at various stages. I don't know as of yet, but whenever the case is, that attractiveness has got to feed in. It's not just the ability to attract staff and drivers. I think that easily is going to translate to sponsorship as well, which means money. And so that's why we are focusing first here on the facilities management now, or operations facilities. Not only is the operation facilities more integral to financial impact, but it's also way cheaper to begin with. And if you are a small team, anything in the back half of the grid, really, those finances are going to be pivotal going forward. Now, yes, it's slowing progress potentially here in season 1, but our finances are better than they were when we started out in terms of actual money. We've got 25 million right now. So, we started at what, 22, 23? So that weekly income that we have, that sponsorship money that we have coming in, is outweighing even what we're expending, even though we're doing rapid upgrades through the operations facilities. But here's the thing. When you look at the other areas, Team Hub, it's not bad, but it's $1.5 million. $1.3 million, almost 2 million. It's a little bit higher than we have. But here's the crazy one. You get to the car development now. Okay, we're looking at level 3 for the factory, but that's 11 million. The design center is 8 for level 2. Wind tunnel is 10. These upgrades are far more expensive. Far more. So you need those finances. So start with the cheaper, easier boost to finances, and then it becomes a lot easier to spend where you need to spend, because long term these are the ones that are going to have a much bigger impact on the team, but you need the money to make those happen.
Welcome to Melbourne for a weekend of fierce competition. We're a stone's throw from the beach here at the Albert Park circuit. It might be party mood in the grandstands, but in the paddock, expectations and tensions are high. The Albert Park circuit is bursting with rapid corners and a long straight where drivers can push their speed to the limits. Good attention to medium speed downforce will likely make beating this beast of a track just a little bit easier. At this early stage in the season, there are still plenty of opportunities for things to change. In this sport, there simply are no guarantees. Let the weekend begin!
So here's the really tricky thing about this race weekend. We're looking at a cloudy Friday and a cloudy Saturday and heavy rain for the race on Sunday. Now, in real life, you would then sacrifice your Friday, Saturday for the sake of the race and get the setup that is suited to that heavy rain. Not being the case here, I don't think in the game that you're going to have that alternate setup. It's going to just want to dial us in on a normal setup anyway, I would think, and that might be awkward, but maybe not. We'll find out. But it is a weird situation to be in. I mean, you certainly want more car control than pace in the ring. One thing I didn't quite pick up on last time is you can actually go in and preset what you're going to start with at the beginning of the session and save that 5 minutes of making adjustments right off the bat. So it is important that you go in and start with those. And practice underway. Last time we got to, I think, 96 and 98% at our previous race. That is a tremendous start to practice. And I learned a thing or two as we went through as well. So I'm going to carry that over into this session, and I hope we can really nail it down. 95 plus for each driver, week in, week out, get those bonuses. Car part knowledge is already maxed out at 100% as we're starting practicing this one. It's the track climatization, and then of course the setup that we need to nail down. No new parts yet. I think we're less than 2 weeks away from development being ready to go, but then we're going to have to actually manufacture some parts. So there have been a couple practice incidents that have ruled cars out, like Sonoda, who has crashed out of this one, and Gasly crashed out in FP3 last race weekend. But we have yet to have a DNF in a race, which of course is the exact opposite to real life. Oh, here's another one. Several cars involved on this one. Did it include us? Yes, we have.
There's been contact and several cars involved. We can take a look now.
Oh, maybe not us. Oh, that's the Red Bull wiping out the Alpine. It looks like they might have hit the car in front of them. Oof. Yeah, they're not going to be finishing this session. That's what we've been missing from the races so far, surprisingly. Here we don't seem to get red flag incidents. We seem to get virtual safety car while it's taken care of. So I think I'm really starting to get the hang of practice and maximizing it, even though we're only 3 races in. So first thing that really matters is this right here. That's your feedback. So this feedback loop is where you make those setup changes. If you have a 0 out of 5, you have 0 feedback. You don't know what to do about making changes. Now, the more you run, the more it's going to narrow that window down, and the more it's going to narrow into what's good and what's bad. But it gives you this big old span. It gives you this big old wide area. So what you really need is you need that feedback to know how close you are, how much adjustment to make, and not just to be within the window. Any running is helpful. However, getting to 5 of 5 and then immediately coming in and making the adjustments is the ideal way to get the most out of your sessions. But then there's the final minutes, and all the running you can get is going to be helpful. Plus, I've found that any running you make, as long as you don't then make additional changes to your setup into the next session, if you keep the same setup you had, it's going to carry over. So if you're at 2 of 5 at the end of a session, as long as you don't alter your setup, you begin the next session with 2 of 5, which is obviously helpful. So the most useful thing is getting that 5 of 5, coming in right away, and then making your adjustments, because that's going to give you the most feedback. And time is everything on trying to get this feedback. It's not that it can't happen, tweaking it and working it and getting it where it needs to be, but it's all time sensitive, and maximizing your time is a big key. And last race, not knowing quite how I was doing it, I did throw away quite a bit of time. Here, sorting it out. Now, there's of course choices to be made, because sometimes you don't need to get to 5 of 5. It's the most efficient. But sometimes something about your setup is totally off after 2 out of 5. And you know that because
Okay.
there you go. Confidence is great now for Albon, and we're still in FP2. But we're going to go ahead and call him in now, and I'll show you what I'm talking about as we go through here. Also, there's 12 minutes, under 12 minutes left in the session now. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Not going crazy on your tires. Another very useful thing, though you do have to return 2 in each session, but we already have 2 that are being used here today, so they will get used up. This set of tires isn't going to, carry over anything useful for us. This one has about 7 laps left. That might not be a terrible thing to put those back on, but we'll just go ahead and keep with the hards and finish the session with those. But here's that trick. So we are optimal, and great in FP2. We're already at 94% of where we want to be. So there's just little changes to make, and I think I know the one that's going to kind of impact this in the way we want it to. Is it the camber? No, it's the roll bar. Except for that's going to make a big change on the traction. We don't want a big change to the traction. We want something very minor like that. That keeps everything else in the optimal. So a little toe change takes care of that braking stability and the cornering. It's not going to change the traction, but I'm okay if we have that one hair off. Everything else is optimal, and that's giving you that minor change. So, we're down to those final little tweaks. Now, from here, I got to keep in mind that it's going to take 4 minutes and 40 seconds to change the toe. Right now, we have enough fuel for 20 laps, but that refueling is going to take 29 additional seconds. Now, looking at the time remaining, there's only going to be not even 7 minutes to spare. We're talking about a handful of laps at the most. We don't need that much fuel in the car. If we put 6, we're saving ourselves, 20 seconds? 20 more seconds out on track. Not changing the tires, 8 more seconds, 8 more seconds that we're out on track. All of this is helpful, useful, maximizing what we could do, and this will carry over into FP3, whatever gains we make in that 7 minutes of running. I've also found that for the sake of time, 3 out of your 5 alterations take 4.5 minutes to complete. 2 of the alterations only take 30 seconds to complete. So early on, getting 1 or 2 of those opportunities in the middle of a session where you're only tweaking the wing angles, you're saving yourself 4 minutes more track time. Great way to help yourself in dialing things in and getting, maximizing that runtime.
And car balance feedback when capacity.
All right, so here's one more thing about what we're doing.
Job,
Latifi just got to 5 of 5. Setup is great, but that doesn't mean it's perfect.
Puppy.
And
guys, these oscillations are killing me.
we have 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes left in the session. So if I go and pit now and make some sort of big change to tweak it, we won't get any more running today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run out that last 4 minutes and get a little more track acclimatization, and then we'll just make our changes prior to FP3. So again, time is the key. Finances is the overall key. On track, time, at least through practice. And by the way, we are currently at the back, though Albon just moved ahead of Stroll and Vettel on very used hard tires. He doesn't have a ton of fuel on board, but he was able to go faster than them.
Okay, that's end of session.
Welcome back to what is proving to be an exciting weekend of Formula One racing, with practice coming to a close today and qualifying set to follow. Practice 3 affords the teams one final opportunity to tweak their setups as the drivers get to grips with the tracks every turn. Once they reach qualifying, there simply won't be time to think twice. Drivers will need to outdo one another if they're to climb their way up the grid and secure themselves a solid starting position for tomorrow's race. Strap yourselves in. This is Formula One.
One thing I'm discovering, and I think it's probably team and especially car specific, but some setups are harder to dial in than others. And where last week we got 96 and 98% quite easily, not even quite knowing what I was doing as I got started on it. This time, very much knew what I was doing and having a much more difficult time getting the setup down, especially the minor adjustments. The very minor adjustments, really hard to dial in. So Albon I've got at 94%. Latifi was quite a bit below that, but he looked so much faster in the most recent run. His times have improved. He was well behind Stroll. He's now bumped himself up, even on very, very, very used soft tires at the time. He's now out running on brand new mediums. Just I want to get that last setup piece so we can actually lock it in, dial it in before we go into qualifying, because when it's not locked in and not dialed in, you enter qualifying still not sure about the setup. You'll find out eventually, but that final number, that bonus, you don't know what it is until you get there. And so it'd be really nice to get it. We have 2 minutes left. Albon, he's done. We got his running, though acclimatization only at 93%. Without that extra running, trying to make those little tweaks to get it into the high 90s. We're going to have to settle for that 94%. But there it is. Confidence is only good. Confidence is only good. Last I saw, he was at 90%. I think we still don't have him maxed out. And it's a minute and a half left in FP3. There is absolutely nothing I can do now besides trying to get that last 2% of track acclimatization. So we will not see maximum bonuses this race. Let's go ahead and head on to qualifying mode. We've only been through 2 race weekends, and we're about to get through the nuts and bolts of our 3rd race weekend. Surprisingly, though, gearbox is already down to 59% for Latifi. That's not looking so good. We're probably going to have to change it after this race. Not looking much better for Albon, as he's at 60% as well. We might be getting a fresh engine and gearbox. Next race, we're starting from the back anyway, so it's actually not as big of a deal, except in the cost to build new parts, right? First run, keeping them on automatic. That, the whole point here is it's just preparing for your lap and going flat out. So automatic is really not a big deal when it comes to qualifying. They're going to push, and they're going to push as hard as they can push. Latifi, 2.4 down overall on signs. Albon just a shade under 2.1. Russell puts in a slow first lap, maybe a second build-up, or get blocked off. A few guys slow on their first laps, but competitive time-wise, Vettel is ever so slightly ahead of Albon at this point, and that's one we got to worry about. Those 4 guys, they'll get a much better, much more competitive lap. Verstappen as well, well off. We are ahead of Stroll with Albon at least, and we are right at the back, not at the entire back. You've got the Alfa Romeos and the Haas cars behind us out on track. Otherwise, we are behind the Ferraris for our final run here in Q1. Again, those 4 drivers behind us, I expect them to speed up. It's all going to be down to Vettel and Stroll. They're the only ones we have really competitive times with right now, so they're the main ones we're going to be watching. I don't expect us to get out of Q1 until we've at least had an upgrade on the car. And Stroll, no, that's still warm-up lap. And we're about to get our lap underway. Latifi and then Albon behind him. I don't think we'll have too many problems as everybody's on a flying lap at the same time. Sainz goes purple. Verstappen goes purple in Sector 1. Green in Sector 2. Latifi is green. Stroll, green and yellow. Albon, yellow in the first sector. Vettel, yellow in the first sector. Green in the second. Albon, green in Sector 2. Latifi, green in Sector 2. So he will improve his time, or so it seems. Everybody behind us all improving their times. So Verstappen only climbs to 7th. He probably caught somebody. Stroll already done and does not improve his time. Vettel finishes. He's still ahead of us. It looks like he might have improved his time. Albon and Latifi both looking to improve, though. Can we bump ahead? Can we bump ahead of the pair? Can we get ahead of one? Can we get ahead of both? Latifi, no. Albon, no. They keep their positions unchanged. 16, 17, 18, 19. Magnussen. Oof. For a second there, I thought Magnussen messed up his lap. He does not. He jumps to 13th. Ocon joins us as eliminated in the first round, and we have the same qualifying for the third race in a row. P18, P20.
It's race day with the teams and drivers ready and raring to go.
Williams had a good performance in qualifying. Now they'll be eager to demonstrate that they can have an even better race. Haas met their potential in qualifying, and they'll be expected to make a good start from the grid. Let's see if they can make it work for them. The weather is very overcast here, and teams are staring at the sky, watching for the first sign of rain. Strategies might have to be quite flexible going into today's race.
Exciting choices lie ahead then for the teams and their drivers here in Melbourne. So let's see what happens.
Somewhere right around lap 18, we go from a 35% chance of rain up to a 95% chance of rain. Now, of course, my weather forecasting is not terribly accurate, but somewhere right around lap 18 to 20, it's expected to rain and be heavy rain. Therefore, my expected strategy is ride out the mediums. I think I might even go a little more conservative with, say, Latifi, as he's not terribly good. I may put Latifi on the hard compound so that just in case the rain holds off for a little while, he can really make it. And then we'll go a little more aggressive with Albon, put him on the medium so he's got a little more pace. The softs will not last until the rain hits unless the rain comes early. So medium seems to be the correct strategy, where hard is the conservative strategy. So we'll take the conservative strategy with Latifi, knowing that those tires will definitely hold out longer. We'll push back, but then when the time's right, we'll switch to probably full wets as it's supposed to be heavy rain. Or does that mean we start on intermediates and then go full wets? So hard to say, but I think we might go straight to full wets based on the prediction of heavy rain, and we're looking at 100% chance later on. It looks like it could start as a quick shower, which means maybe intermediates are the right way to go for a good 10-12 laps. You could probably make up 10 or 12 seconds quite easily through that sequence, but of course, how much are you going to lose with an extra pit stop? But that could be a faster strategy long term, as you could push on the wets later on. But it does seem like it's going to rain heavy, rain light, rain heavy, rain light, rain heavy, rain light throughout this race. So this could be a very interesting one tactically, unless you're Ferrari, in which case, good luck to you. But then again, it's not real life. They're probably going to manage their tactics a bit better here.
A somewhat overcast day for the drivers, who've now taken position on the grid. Here we have Alexander Albon. They'll be starting the race from the bottom half of the grid, so there's a fair bit of ground to make up. Next up for the team, it's Latifi. With their starting position in the back 10, they'll have their work cut out for them. Will their hard work pay off today? Brace yourselves for the Australian Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go.
All right, so race just getting underway, and I forgot to tell them to push, so we are going to push a little bit here early on.
To increase pace. Yeah.
Go full overtake for now, and we'll see what we can do.
Easy
Albon
overtake.
up to 16th, Latifi up to 19th.
Good job.
And
good job.
I'm really curious about what we're going to see from the rest of the field right now. We're seeing a lot of medium compounds. Schumacher, Tsunoda, and just Latifi are the three on the hard compound with a little more conservative. Albon up to 15th. So both drivers with good starts. Let's go ahead and keep pushing through this first lap here with Albon. We are now right on the heels of Mick Schumacher, who's on the hard tire. So we might be able to get ahead of him and then hopefully stay within DRS range of Norris, which that feels a little optimistic, but that would be really helpful for us if we could get on his heels. Either way, Albon having Tsunoda between us and the Aston Martins is a great way as things start to open up, stretch out. That's a fantastic way for us to get a bit of a gap over them. And meanwhile, Latifi on the hard compound should be able to stay right on their heels. If the rain then holds off a little bit and they end up having to pit prior to the rain coming, then Latifi will gain significantly. And on Albon for that as well. But so we're kind of taking that strategy, right? Alright, Albon's gap to the Aston Martins is definitely growing. Tsunoda right on our heels, but we are staying close to Mick Schumacher at least.
Without DRS.
DRS now opening. Tsunoda may make a move on us, but for me the big thing is just beating the Aston Martins. That's our day. We're not close enough to the points. We just need to maintain a finish that's better than them. So if we're pulling away from them, then it's successful. Tsunoda trying to have a look around the outside. Cannot do it, but he's going to have the inside for turn 2. Thought maybe we had enough to block him off there, but we do not drive across him. But we still hold on through turn 3. And we eventually pull back ahead, and Tsunoda backs out of it. That's good. Let's go and go standard before we overheat the tires. They do need to make it till the rain. Even if that means Tsunoda gets by. Looking at his attributes, Albon not very good at defending. 9/10 of a second behind Mick Schumacher. Let's go ahead and deploy for a little bit. Try to keep that gap so we can get that DRS.
Yeah. Deploy.
We have it for now.
Yep, copy.
I'm not thinking about passing Schumacher at this point. We've already been there and tried that. It's not something that tends to go terribly well for us. Latifi can afford to go aggressive from his P19 position, as those tires are definitely going to last until the rain comes. And we're going to take to the outside against Schumacher. We get up side by side with him. We pull a bit ahead, but I think we're still side by side. No! We complete the move. We complete the move just before turn 1, and it looks like it's going to be a twofer. Maybe not. Tsunoda, Schumacher battling side by side. That gives us enough clearance. Albon up to 14th. Our best running position yet, outside of pit stops, temporary. I think we've been as high as 6th, holding off long on one of our stints. Keeping a regular eye on the weather report. Right now we're at 5% chance of rain. Back targets are falling off quite a bit. Vettel 2.5 seconds back. Stroll, Latifi, Ocon all behind. Ocon qualified P16, had a grid penalty. Verstappen also had a grid penalty, but he's already up to 3rd. Verstappen's for the collision during practice. Not sure what Ocon's was for, but I believe it might have been for a collision as well. We had two in second practice. McLaren's down the inside, almost going 3 wide there for a moment, but they tuck back in. And Albon is in range on
check the DRS
on Norris.
Yes.
The DRS is used up, but let's go ahead and now push. Because we want to keep that position. This is helping pull us away. These guys are so much faster if we're able to ride with them and use that DRS to stay in the train. That's going to inevitably pull further and further away from the Aston Martins. Now 4.5 seconds back. Latifi's been passed by Ocon, by the way. He's down to 20th and not holding the gap. Remember, he is on the hard compound, and he's just generally slow. Mick Schumacher having a look around the outside of Albon, which is okay because we had just lost the
Haas with an
DRS.
overtake.
So we had just fallen out of that range, and Tsunoda actually makes his way past the both of us, following Schumacher through, and then keeping that momentum going into a double pass for him. So we swap places. The good news, though, is Vettel is now 10 seconds behind Albon. I knew that Tsunoda and Mick Schumacher were always going to be really hard to hold off in our boat of a car, but Vettel, on the other hand, and both Aston Martins and our teammate Latifi, for that matter, are totally different stories. Unfortunately, we've already fallen off, apparently, to 1.5 seconds behind Mick Schumacher, even though we are right on his heels. And we actually moved back past him there. So not quite sure how we pulled that situation off when we were 2 car lengths behind, but we do get back on by. Tsunoda, though, has already pulled away, so the two of us are going to, looks like, have our own little DRS train, and honestly, Schumacher's the faster of the two of us, so it wouldn't be terrible if he gets back on by. Lap 11 now. Fuel is back in a good state for Latifi. His is not, which is a little strange, but I guess we have been pushing to try to keep pace up, knowing that those tires are going to easily make the distance we need them to make.
Is that a new race position for Haas?
Schumacher has moved ahead, by the way. And we're almost a second behind. Didn't see any mistake. No mistake was noted, but we are edging beyond a second now. And we're not going to get DRS, so he is going to pull away from us, in which case we probably need to go back down to standard and harvest for a little bit. Cruising on our own. 11 seconds clear of Ocon, who has finally finished his move to get beyond Latifi, Stroll, and Vettel. Front 4 are well clear of the field. Verstappen at the back of that group after making his way through the field. 12-second gap to now Hamilton, who just passed Bottas there on the front straight. Guan Yu Zhou is 7th. Alonso, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Russell all the way down in 11th. Gasly, Norris, who we were behind not long ago. We are now about 8 seconds, nearly 10 seconds back on him. So Albon is definitely going backwards without. And it is raining. It is raining. It is raining. Oh my gosh. Can I...
Seems to be quite slippery.
Copy.
Rainfall. We're already coming up on 2 millimeters. Let's see what these guys are putting on. We don't know yet. We do not know what they are putting on. Where are we in relation to pit road? We are already past. Okay. Let's watch. See what happens. See what these guys are coming out on.
So it's
We
raining,
are
just
far
one
enough
shot.
apart. We could double stack.
Copy.
It's supposed to rain real hard
Gasly
here in a few
has
minutes, which
pitted
means
for
I
new
think.
option.
Okay. Signs Verstappen both pitting in. Leclerc looks like he's continuing on. They're not double stacking. We still have a little bit of time to make our decision. I want to see
Vettel
what
was
they...
just pitted.
I'm not going to know until they come out. I don't want to push too hard. I want to push, but I don't want to push because it's raining. Track rubber is now very, very low. Track grip is low. But is it time for intermediates? Be aggressive, knowing that this heavy rain isn't supposed to last long. But how much is the heavy rain? How much water is it going to put down on the track? How well is that going to clear? If I have to, I'm going to go full wet. We have 885 meters to make our decision. $500 meters. Moving around very slowly now. 300 meters. And a Ferrari is about to exit pit road. Full wets. Full wets for signs. We're going to go full wets for Albon. The only good thing about Latifi falling back is that ability to double stack here. And we're going to see a lot of guys with issues. Yeah, Albon already done. And Latifi just now on pit road. Here he comes. Plenty of time for the team to get ready. Hamilton opts for the intermediates. That was the strategy that I was talking about. Maybe you could go for the intermediates and push when the rain lightens, and then switch to the full wets later when it gets a bit heavier, as it's not supposed to stay heavy for long. So we'll see if that pays off for Hamilton. But we're now looking at 7 cars with Leclerc that are going to be well off the pace.
So he's not really coming down. Yeah, A-firm.
Have to push to keep them warm.
We could do with a bit more pace now if you've got it.
Okay.
Until you have enough water on. So managing the temperature, really important. Okay, so we have come out, at the moment anyway, in 13th and 19th. So Latifi is ahead of Vettel after Vettel makes a double stop. What am I looking for? Stroll has pit. He is ahead of Latifi, but Albon is way ahead of him at the moment. And we're going to see where we come out as we have the second group, the group that went around one more time, and we're clearly slow on that lap. So he had to have gained half a dozen seconds, 10 seconds maybe. It could have been a lot. And you can see Albon now up to 11th place. Adaptability is your rain attribute in this game. Albon's was higher, but I don't remember what it was. It was definitely higher than Latifi's though. Latifi's in the 60s, low 60s. He's going to be well off the pace here, and I would suspect that Vettel's probably going to catch up to him in time. And then meanwhile, Albon is doing well. I mean, he is hanging in there. They have caught up to Russell. Russell on those intermediates is slow. He did not immediately pit, but he remains on the intermediates. The rain has lifted a little bit. You can see the track is slowly drying out, but it's at heavy rainfall. I mean, it's at 4 millimeters. It's much too wet for those intermediates. And we've gone down to damp, so this could benefit Russell. No, he is pitting. Just as the track is drying out a little bit, Russell is opting for the full wets, and that's going to move us up to 10th place now. We are in the top 10 competitively for the first time with no pit stops coming. However, it's not competitively that we got there, it's strategically. Glad I opted for the full wets and not the intermediates. Clearly that was not the way to go, and clearly the heavy rain did not hold off for a while. It was supposed to rain a bit and then drop off before then raining heavily. Thought that there might be enough, right? If that was quick, that quick downpour, yes, it would make the track definitely damp. But then a light rain, and for a moment it was looking like intermediates might just work. But no, very early, just lap 21, we are back to a very heavy rain, and that wasn't supposed to happen until, according to my predictions, I think it was like lap 24, 25, maybe even 26. But clearly it's already come down hard. Alonso dancing side to side, cannot get by. Rain has lightened quite a bit, but it picks up again, so we're getting a lot of variation. But the track is quite wet right now. Albon has been passed by Gasly. Alonso got around Tsunoda, by the way, and it's Hamilton who's looking to make the next move. We are 17 seconds ahead of Ocon. Stroll a little further down, now a lap behind. So I think our race against the Aston Martins is no longer of any concern.
Okay, there's a big crash.
Meanwhile, Latifi's already too far gone. Verstappen has picked up a penalty,
Contact on the track.
so we know who is involved. We also know who has zero racecraft, even though they're a very popular driver. They're fast. Alright, Latifi on pit road. Not the only one stopping. There's the wingless, half a wing missing anyway, Verstappen. Stroll also pit. Was it with Stroll? Did Verstappen crash into Stroll and get himself a penalty? He got the penalty, so it was on him. And he's 5 seconds behind us because, well, more than 5 seconds. Should be more than 5 seconds behind us because he had to serve the penalty and put on a new wing. So that backs up Stroll and Vettel. Latifi is behind Stroll though, but not far. He's not far behind those two. And the virtual safety car is still on. So yes, we lost some time, but not a lot. Another period of heavy rain increases the amount of water on track as we're getting into the later stages now. Just 22 laps remaining in this one. Definitely settling into a bit of a rhythm here. Latifi a ways behind the Aston Martins. The fresh tires will only be a factor in the later laps as pace should be relatively similar here. But with, you know, those 8-lap fresher tires, it'll gain him a little bit of time. But we did lose a little more than I expected to lose with the pit stop there onto the virtual safety car. Big problem behind me, and those guys just dropped off. The big problem is a Red Bull. Big problem is a Red Bull, and those cars have really, really fallen off as that Red Bull comes at me and actually given me a huge advantage. So Magnussen, Russell, Mick Schumacher have not changed order, but they really, really fell back at the time. We're going to get that same blue flag though, so how will it impact us? Russell has finally gone by Magnussen, and we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. Looks like somebody just ran wide momentarily.
Was that a lockup on the track?
It was Vettel. Vettel with the lockup. By the way, Latifi has gained on Stroll. He is getting closer. 18 laps to go. Red Bull's going to be an issue. Not Red Bull, the Ferrari, sorry. It's red. It's not a bull. It's a prancing horse. Prancing pony. And he goes on by, and we tuck in with a big gap between us and Russell. We were passed in a much, much better place. We also have extra fuel, partially as a result. And we might just hang on to this P13 with an 18 laps to go, or at least 14th. Russell, I think Russell's going to do what Magnussen couldn't. The Haas doesn't have enough of an advantage. The Mercedes does. At least that's my prediction. Meanwhile, Latifi, again, getting closer and closer and closer to Stroll. And with those fresh tires, well, fresher tires, especially as they wear out more and more, I think we're looking better and better and better. And tire wear is really good for Albon. Even though we're pushing. The pushing is keeping the temperature in them. Though, it's not raining as hard right now. It's not raining as hard, so things could change. We could still see intermediates towards the end of this race. things could still change. Sainz is the leader. He's the one who went on by. That was us getting lapped. Next up will be Leclerc. And Russell does get by. We're still battling it out with him, though. And we're going to pick up that blue flag. Oh, bad time, as we have to give up. We have to give up that spot on the straight and lose a ton of speed, and that's going to allow those Haas cars to draw in a little bit closer, but we still do have an advantage. It's just not quite what it was. Sainz leads from Leclerc. Leclerc, remember, was the one who had the double pit stop issue. Or no, not double pit stop. He pit a lap later than the bulk of the field and lost a ton of time. But he has closed that down a lot. But Sainz still leads, and 9 seconds is going to be hard over 11 laps. It's nearly a second a lap that he would have to recover. Meanwhile, Verstappen, following his crash and penalty, remains right about the same distance he had ahead of Perez. So it appears that the top 4 is secure. Ricciardo has a healthy gap over the Alfa Romeos, and Guan Yu Zhou and Bottas are neck and neck. That could go either way. Norris also not far behind and probably in the faster car. Alonso has caught up to Norris, and of course he is ideal in these race conditions, so he could be a threat still. Meanwhile, Hamilton has come from well behind to catch up to that group. So I think that's where the action for this race is going to be down the stretch. Tsunoda and Gasly are kind of in no man's land now. Russell's in no man's land. And we are in an increasing threat from Magnussen. Schumacher's a little further back. Magnussen has come on here pretty strong. Yellow flag. Yellow flag. Somebody ran wide. It's Schumacher. Schumacher's out of the way. He's long out of the way now, actually. Can we hold off Magnussen? Can we hold off Magnussen?
3 laps to go.
3 laps to go, but really it's just 2. Latifi overtakes Stroll. Latifi has made his move count. Gonna go back to aggressive.
Okay, back off.
That's fine. And switch to defend. Okay. Latifi has made it work. He's beaten Stroll, and that's right back in the position he was in, or was he ahead of Vettel as well? And he was ahead of Vettel, wasn't he? Vettel was behind Stroll even, but Vettel moved on past. Huge gap though, 24 seconds. I don't know if he was. I think he might have been 19th when we took the pit under the virtual safety car. But Albon pushes on. Key moment here. Very, very key moment. As we are entering that final lap, Magnussen has backed off and allowed the Red Bull to go by, and we allow him to go by right now. There's that moment of truth. Where is Magnussen after this move? That gap coming down very quickly. 1.3. So the gap is about half a second more than what it was. Should go ahead and use deploy for this final lap. We're okay here.
Deploy. Copy.
We're okay here. And we're okay here.
Okay, to
go
push.
all in.
To push, go push.
Final lap.
Copy.
Final lap. Meanwhile, that rainfall down to 2.8. Intermediates would definitely be faster. But again, you're going to lose close to 30 seconds with the pit, and you're going to gain a second or two a lap. Maybe even 2 to 3. But 3 seconds a lap over 26, 27 seconds lost. And it's going to take you a while to recover that. Quite a while. Race finishes. Signs. Leclerc closed that gap down significantly, but never got it back. 4 seconds behind after he had lost about 20 seconds earlier. He definitely was the fastest, but Sainz gets his second win of the season. Verstappen, Perez there. Russell finishes 13th, so now the best we can finish is 14th. Latifi already finished ahead of Stroll in 19th, and Albon comes to the line after this corner and the short straight before the line, and that is P14 for Alexander Albon. Yes, 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 yes. Magnus in 15th. We hold off both Haas cars for our best finish of the season so far. That is a huge improvement for us, and you better believe the sponsors are going to be very happy. There's also going to be a little bit of bonus cash for getting one of the drivers into the top 15. That is going to do it for this episode, though, on the Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.